buenas noches a todos. Right. So
Sí, claro.
I wanna thank. Sí, claro que vamos a hacerlo en español, ¿no? I just want to thank North for taking the time to jump on my podcast with me and talk about his crazy journey, because we were just talking off air, and like the stuff that you've achieved already is phenomenal. So let's get, before we go into bikes, because obviously we were talking about that you've got like a knuckle panhead and an Evo, knuckle shovel and
Yeah,
an
yeah,
Evo. Sorry.
yeah. That's the
Um,
ones.
let's go back to where it started with the tattoo career first.
Um, to be honest, I was never really like I was interested in drawing and stuff as a kid, but then tattooing, I just thought it was just like one of them cool things. It never really came from like a passion of being like, oh, I'd love to, tattoo and do this, that, and the other. It was just really a job that I knew I could pick up and take anywhere. So traveling was always like a priority, and I was like, oh well, tattooing, you can do guest spots and do this and do that, and travel about with it. So that was the main reason that I got into it, really. So typically, I started with like doing traditional stuff, so that I didn't have to, draw as much as like a contemporary sort of like realism artist. Well, then again, I guess realism artists don't just draw that much either. Um, but I just got into doing like the traditional stuff, so I could just take it anywhere. Um, yeah, I was never really interested in tattooing it that much from the start, but it's kind of come over the years. I've had more of an interest in it.
So where do you think? So like obviously you say you started doing like traditional works, kind of like the place where obviously, because obviously I say looking for your work, like your line work is like absolutely on point. So I'm guessing that doing a lot of trad work, you would have had to get the discipline of solid solid
Yeah,
lines, bang to bang, point A to B, and
yeah, kind of. I think with the stuff that I do now, I do a lot of fine line stuff, and I've fallen into that because using like wireless machines and stuff so that I can travel a lot, pack things like into a tiny box, like just little can't speak, little wireless machines. That way I don't have to plug them in, carry all like clip cords, power supplies, stuff like that. They only those little wireless machines only really do up to like I don't know, like 7, 8, 9 round liners. So I just started pushing more fine line stuff because it was just easier to do. I didn't have to pack as much. Um, and it's a bit more well rounded as well. I'd get blokes wanting traditional stuff, but then a lot of girls would want like dainty little, like butterflies and stuff like that. So it just catered to a bigger market, especially if I was going somewhere I'd never been before.
yeah,
Fine line just seemed to be a route that a lot more people want.
yeah, definitely. I mean, and to be honest, I mean, both. I mean, I say I've done a little bit of tattooing in the past. I was lucky enough to get into a studio, so I have a basic understanding. I'm definitely nowhere near as good as the likes of like you and Ollie by any, or I was lucky to have
But I
JJ on
mean,
the
I
podcast
don't
as
I
well.
don't come close to how good Ollie is at tattooing. What I mean, like I don't have the appreciation for it that he has. I'm very much one of those. I've been tattooing maybe like 5 years or something, but like I say, he's done everything the right way with like his apprenticeship. He like learned bread and butter, everything. Like realism,
Yeah,
traditional, neo-trad, Japanese, everything. Whereas I just put myself into a corner because I pigeonholed myself because I was just like, oh, I don't really want to learn a lot. I just want to learn the basics and just make enough from it to be able to travel. So
yeah,
I don't really compare to him. Like he's great at what he does because
oh,
he's done
definitely.
the works.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's definitely like you say, he's definitely got an old school like learn the right way, put the time in, earn your stripes type of attitude to it, and obviously for a lot of the old school artists, they're finding it quite frustrating with how the machines have made it so much more user friendly. I
Yeah,
mean, like I
yeah,
said, I never apprenticed, and I don't claim to be, just like I said, like a couple minutes ago, I don't claim to be anywhere near the likes of you guys. Like, I mean, I have a massive respect for the industry. It's very hard, but kind of where I was going with it is trad and fine line both look visually to someone that's never touched a fucking tattoo machine. They both look easy to do, but as
yeah,
you and Ollie and all the guys know, they look easy, but they're also easy to fuck up. Like
yeah, yeah,
a fucking fine line is
yeah.
terrible, mate.
There's no
Three
room for
round
error. You
line,
know what I mean?
fuck.
Yeah, there's no room for error. Like if you pull in like big thick lines, like any sort of little skew whiff moment, you know, you're gonna see it, or you're gonna see like a patch that's blown out, or especially with trad. Like, I hated that about trad, just like getting. You'd have to play around with your voltage, like your needle depth and stuff, because the lines are so big. Like, and just slight skin difference, you could pull like a perfect line on someone, but then someone with like fairer skin or darker skin, like it'll react completely differently. Like, and
Yeah,
whereas with a lot of fine line stuff, you can sort of just like, or single needle especially, as long as you can like make sure you're not blowing it out or whatever, you can sort of just build on it. You're like, okay, like that's probably not going to stay. Just another pass, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Whereas with
but
trad, it's just like you got to get it right, like a marker pen, first time every
yeah,
time.
but both, like say, like you just said there, even though both they're both still fucking. I mean, I did I did this piece on the spine the other day for a friend of mine, and well, for my friend's daughter, and I tattooed her a few times, and she had one down the middle of her back, and it was like I did 3 round liner, like stipple shading in the flowers, and it's like fucking like watching guys on YouTube and TikTok and YouTube, like fucking Instagram, like something like the dudes that day in day out, they
Oh
make it look
yeah.
so fucking easy. I
Mate, one
mean,
of those is Joel Sues in Stockholm in Sweden. He'll line a full back piece in like an hour, and it'll be a massive trad thing. And then you see some videos of him doing it like close up, and he'll do those little like flower blossoms in like random parts, and he'll do the entire thing in one line. And it's just
it's
little tricks
crazy.
like that. On little parts of the line before he goes over it, little parts of the flower before he goes over it, he just like puts little dots in so that there's like a puddle of black ink there, and it just re-picks up. Like he'll run out of ink, and then once he hits that puddle, it picks up again, and he starts using that one all in one go.
It's
I'm like,
like what?
how do you go through that? I don't know. I can't. I struggle getting my hand position. You know, moving around like that all in one line. Like I'm very much
Oh
like
mate,
plant my hand, move,
yeah.
plant my hand somewhere else, move again.
I say I ain't tattooed since like since October last year. I've been working on a Peaky Blinders piece with my friend, and like it's obviously 6 months later, I'm doing this piece on this girl's back, and
Yeah,
on this woman's back, and like fucking make cramps in the hand. Like you forget how much your muscles, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I run fat grip as well, so I'm not even like old school like clamping down on the machine. I got Shine Thunder and like an easy enough machine to use, and
yeah.
it's like
I use.
fucking hell.
I'll show you one sec. I've got it right here. Um, I have it in a little box. This is literally everything that I travel with for tattooing.
That's
It's all
awesome.
just in this tiny little box line. Um,
That's all you. That's
so
all you need. That's
the
all you need.
machine is like the tiniest thing,
Oh
little
wow.
battery powered one, and I'll
What
only wrap
machine's
this at
that?
the bottom. It's literally like a Chinese special. You know what I mean? It
Really?
was like
That's awesome.
150 quid or something.
It's
They
crazy.
were off of that Ink Hawk or Dragon Hawk. I can't remember.
Oh
But yeah, it's like just the tiniest little pen. So I find
yeah.
that quite good for fine line stuff.
And I was about to say, being like no disrespect, but being that's a Chinese machine, it more likely lacks a stronger punch, like like for example,
Exactly.
like the
Yeah.
Cheyenne. So it's more. It'll be. I'm guessing it's more forgiving. You know, like you've got more time to. I guess I say I'm not talking like I really am. I've
Yeah.
got a
No,
basic
it's
understanding. That's
I
me.
get what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I mean. I only use up to maybe like 9 round liners with that. I wouldn't trust it to try and put an 18 in, you know, like 18 round shader or something, and it not fill
Yeah,
it right. I wouldn't want to
yeah,
put it through,
yeah,
and it just drain the battery anyway. Like one little palm
yeah.
sized tattoo, and it drain the battery. Whereas fine line, it's just barely any resistance.
But like obviously, like again, it's like scrolling through your tattoo page, like you making it like you talk like I just know but like you can see that there's a lot of effort goes into like the work you do. It's not just like bang bang quick little. I mean, you go from doing like a fine line bit of script to all of a sudden doing like dot work bat wings on
Yeah,
someone's back, and you're like, that's no easy feat. Do you know what I
but
mean? Like,
that was something that I was never taught either. Because like my apprenticeship, got into my apprenticeship in 2018, I think. Yeah, 2018, and I only did it for maybe 2 months, but I was living out of the studio. the owner didn't know at the time. He did after a couple of weeks, but at first I was like, my apprenticeship was in Wolverhampton, and obviously I were living in like Doncaster, so I'd come down and on the Monday, and then I'd sort of do all me, you know, cleaning up or whatever, and then end of that day, I'd always make sure I was like the last one to leave. I'd go to the gym, get a shower at gym, go back, draw some more, clean up so I didn't have to clean up in the morning, wake up early, do all the stuff that needed to be done to set up the shop, and then act like I was just the first one there. Um,
Wow.
but I was doing that for like 2 months, and then eventually left my apprenticeship because of certain disagreements with the owners and stuff. It was very much around that era of a lot of tattooers getting called out for being inappropriate and stuff like that. So I was sort of like, I'd seen him say certain things to his customers and my customers and other tattooers there, and I was just like, I don't want to be around like this shop when that all goes down. And I just said to him
Yeah.
like, look, I'm not going to say anything about it. But I'm leaving, and I'd rather it be amicable. But he
Yeah.
didn't really treat it as an amicable leaving, and so I was sort of like, all right, well, here's what it is, and then decided not to keep his secrets.
Fucking hell. Yeah. That and that's it, isn't it? Like I say, I was lucky enough to get into a studio for a little while, and I've got no bad words about the studio, but I noticed that it's a very, very cutthroat industry,
Yeah,
and I can understand why. I can understand, like we touched on briefly earlier, like I can understand why some of the old school lads find it a bit, a bit how it's become easier for the newer generation. But I also think I mean, I believe that whether you started tattooing 3 years ago, I believe that it's important to understand and respect where tattooing's come from. And I think
yeah,
it's a shame that there are people that don't understand where it's come from. But I also believe, on the other hand, I believe that some of the old school artists, I think there's almost a bit of like, oh fuck, like shit, you've only been tattooing a couple of years, and like you're making my work look a bit basic,
yeah,
And so I think there's a mixture on both sides. I think some of the young that don't respect the culture, the industry, where it's come from, what it's
yeah.
stood
But
for.
that's it. So that's something that I've never really got behind with tattooing. I can understand that people love tattooing for the tradition of it, or for they have their reasons for why they love it. But for me, like from a logical perspective, the earliest human body ever found frozen in ice had tattoos. So did the people that created tattoos at that point in time create the rules and regulations that we subscribe to today in like a modern time and like a modern business? Um, and like who's the hegemony of it really? Like a lot of traditional tattooers will put like like Sailor Jerry or um all these like Bowery tattooers like on this pendulum. But why, like why do they get all this like right and wrong? How come they get to decide that? There's Maui tribes that like uh they've been
Yeah,
doing that for much longer than these traditional tattooers have. Like are they like excluded from tattooing because they don't do things the same way? Or um, there's like natives around like Africa and South America that they have like tattooing very heavily embedded in their culture, but they don't um, wrap their machine a certain way, or they don't like um, do certain things the way that Sailor Jerry or whoever else would have,
yeah,
or Don Ed Hardy or any of those. So it's literally the most accessible culture in the world. It's the most like, I was gonna say the most degenerative culture, but that's probably a bad word for it. But it's like it's accessible to anyone.
yeah,
It's not like it's not ballet, it's not like for the upper class, whatever. It's like anyone can have tattoos.
mm,
Anyone can go and get tattoos. Anyone can make tattoos for themselves. That's what would happen, hundreds, thousands of years ago.
yeah,
Um, so why is it that people today feel like if they go into a shop, like they might be like, you know, uh, looked down on for not wanting a certain thing? I've never really understood. It's the same with like them saying, "Oh, you can't get your hands before anywhere else." Like, I agree. Like, people would look stupid to get like the hands and the face and nowhere else. But at the same time, it's a business. Like, I'd never turn down if someone wanted to get a face tattoo as their first tattoo. I would never turn it down. I tell them why it's a dumb idea. I tell them what other people would think. I tell them why other
yeah,
tattoo shops wouldn't do it. But if I say no, I'm a tattooer at the end of the day. I'm not a life advice counselor. So if I say no, they're just going to go down the road to some shop that will just be like, take the money and do a shit job. So I'd rather do like a good tattoo, albeit it's in a stupid place, but pays my bills at the end of the day, and like I've told them everything that I should tell them. Um, so realistically, I know Sailor Jerry or Don Ed Hardy or Burt Crack or any of them wouldn't do it, um, but why are they on that pedestal? You know, I mean, I get respect in tradition
Well, yeah,
because it's
yeah, no,
something
I get
to
it.
look up to, but
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah,
that's
no,
always been my
I get where
standpoint
you're
with it,
coming
really.
from.
Yeah, I get why people get
No, no,
frustrated
that's
uh, with like people just buying a kit on Amazon and stuff, but who can blame them, really?
yeah. I mean, mate, I did the same. You know what I mean? I say I started tattooing my friends, tattooing myself, my first, and
Yeah,
I worked up to a standard where a studio was willing to take me on a weekend. And
yeah,
to be honest, I think really I probably would be still tattooing full time if I didn't have a family to support. I just
yeah,
couldn't. I just felt, because I respect the industry, and I say the same. Like, I respect the industry the same as you do. I just think that I couldn't commit. I couldn't give to the industry what it deserved from me. I couldn't commit to it 24/7. I couldn't
yeah,
sacrifice, like I wasn't able to. Like, I mean, like yourself, like your story was you were sleeping in a studio.
yeah.
So that's fucking 100% commitment. Like, you've earned the right straight away to fucking say exactly what you said about it. It isn't like you've
But then
just.
again, that depends who you ask. Like some people would be like, "Oh, well, I had to do worse than that, so like, why do you get
Yeah.
a free pass or whatever?" And it's
No, no,
all you can't
exactly.
please everyone with it.
No, no, of course not. Of course not. Like I say, I think obviously, like I said earlier, there is some of the older school lads don't like the fact that someone that's only pretty much just touched the machine compared to
Yeah,
them are equal on par on quality. And that's another thing. Like, obviously, like, different qualities, isn't it? Like, different styles. Like, at the end of the day,
yeah,
a realism artist maybe can't line for shit,
yeah.
or a line artist maybe can't soft shade like they can. And I mean, do you know what I mean? Like
Well,
David
with
Vega, I mean, fucking hell, look at the way he shades. Fucking insane. He comes backwards. It's like, what? David Vega
yeah,
over in
yeah.
America. I'm
How do
like,
you
fuck.
whip shade backwards?
you
It's
know,
I don't know. I think the general public or customers looking for tattoos, they might say some stupid shit or they might like want some stupid shit, but they're not that stupid at the end of the day. Like they're not
no,
gonna go to someone and be like, "Oh, I want this," and they're not gonna like not look at what they've done before. Like so. I think it's a good thing really that now. Uh, Tattoo machines and like the availability of education on tattooing is so readily available because
mm,
there could be incredible artists out there that have been dissuaded from tattooing because they walked into a shop and they got shunned out because they didn't have the mentality that matched with whoever owned that certain shop.
mm,
So
yeah,
having that availability for people to just give it a go, I can understand like the the concerns with like the health and safety of it, like if people aren't like clean with it or something like that,
but same again
that's a
with
whole different thing.
technology. Like, same again, like with cartilage needles. Like, at the end of the day, you can fucking chuck a sleeve over your grip, microporous tape, bulk it up. Like, that
Exactly, yeah.
machine, effectively, you put
Is
that
a sterile
machine together,
surface. Yeah,
you put it together right and take it apart. That's
yeah.
never ever going to see cross contamination, is it? Let's be right.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing is like apprenticeships used to be you're running through how to run an autoclave, running through how to clean your tubes, running through how to make needles and stuff. None of that is something that in tattooing today you have to do or worry about because everything's made so readily available to you. So again, like that education on like the cleanliness of it, all you really need to know how to do is clean the skin, create a sterile surface, don't cross contaminate, and you're set to go. That's pretty much
Yeah,
it, innit? Um,
yeah,
so like I was saying, I think it's a good thing that people can just pick up a machine, give it a go because it's also healthy competition, isn't it? Really, it's making
yeah,
other tattooers being like, oh bloody hell, like I've been getting away with just doing the bare minimum because there's not been many tattooers about, and I'll just take anyone that walks into the shop. But now there's like people doing a good job, and I've got to make myself stand out. Um,
yeah,
and me and one of my mates that tattooed me the other day. He said the same sort of thing. He said he used to be the sort of the lad that was just like, oh, I don't want to tell anyone because, they're they'll start tattooing and like, why should I tell them for free or whatever? But now he actively encourages it. He's just like, I'll tell anyone what they want to know, because if they're good at it, then great. It's either more competition or it's someone that he might want to get a tattoo from. It's just another mate or something. And if they're shit, then he's not lost anything.
No. I mean, and you know, that's kind of like the same with the bike world. Like some of the builders some of the bike builders I've had on the podcast so far, like, and some of the dudes that have been building bikes for 20, 30 years, like, they're been saying the same. Like, at the end of the day, like, why wouldn't I encourage them? Because worst case scenario, they build something that they can't actually put together properly. They come to me anyway, and at the end of the day, like, and that's it. Like, I think that's what's so cool about the whole custom culture scene completely, and that's why like, even though my podcast is called the Let's Talk Motorcycle podcast, like, I will interview people like tattooists and mindset coaches and people, obviously, like, people that are obviously clearly tattooed in bikes and things like that, like, but the whole world comes together at the end of the day. That is what it's all about, isn't it? It's law of attraction, if that's what you believe in, and
But it's like, it's just different ways of expressing identity, innit? Like, building a tattoo is not that much different expressively as building a bike. Like, people have the likes and the dislikes, and you can look at certain bikes and be like, I know who built that. Just the way certain things are put together.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for you with tattooing, like, before you started tattooing, like, was, like, for me, I was always attracted to the tattoo scene in a respect of, like, I liked the idea of, I'm losing my fucking thing here.
I was just thinking, is that falling down or is the camera going down?
It's fucking, no, it's me fucking, I'm having a malfunction here, mate. Malfunction system, fucking shit the bed. So like,
that dried up.
I was like, well, yeah, mate, it's fucking sellotape, innit? Like, I'm wedged in the corner of my front room. This is like a homemade fucking banner. I'm trying to act all professional, and it's like,
I was the same. I was like, what's the only part of my room that doesn't look like a mess? Like, everywhere else is just like clothes and shit. Stripper pole in middle of room.
Stripper pole in middle of room. Fucking love it.
So I was like, yeah, this looks like the most professional corner.
With the cowboy boots on the shelf. Love it.
I brought them over from States. The cowboy boots, and then these ones at the end are stripper boots. Right on the end.
Now,
in New York, and then this stripper was like, some bloke bought me these boots today and they don't fit right well. Do you want to take them home? And I'm just like, yes, I do.
I'll have them. I'll fucking
they'll look great on my shelf.
Oh, that's sick, mate. So I forgot where I was before me fucking system error smell. But God, where was I? Was there tattooing? So, like, for you, like, before you started tattooing, what was you attracted? Like, I was attracted to the fucking rebel to society, outlawish, like, fuck the system type thing. Like, was that a thing for you, or was it just like?
When I got into tattooing, the style that I kind of like pushed for after traditional, because traditional was like what I was taught. But what I pushed into more was that like black work, that like ignorant, like big, the typical like solid black rose silhouettes and stuff, and bang those out all day. I just liked that was like a new thing, like people would just get them blast overs and, big bold letters straight across, like that Russian prison tattoo style stuff. I really liked like that because, again, like that was sort of like against the grain. The same way that traditional tattoos used to be, that they used to be for like, like bikers, sailors, and sort of like vagabonds and, all those vagrant types, and
I mean, that's it. And I, kind of like that's the thing in it. Like, I mean, I got my hand tattooed, like, I mean, I know it's the kind of thing that everyone says, I got it done before it became a thing, but like, I got half my, so I ran out of money like here.
Yeah.
But I had all this stuff done like 10 years ago, and it was like all Sharpie penned on, like my pocket watch on my wrist, on my hand. It's got like Indian Larry's question mark inside it, so it's not just like. Do you know what I mean? And I know, like, the meaning behind that is like, you never know when your time's up,
Yeah.
So it's like even though, like, we spoke off air, like, I'm new to somewhat to the social media thing, like I'm trying to do now. Like, I haven't just all of a sudden looked at this culture and gone, oh fucking hell, this is cool. Like, I like this. Like, I mean, first bike I built, in Spain was a 1983 125 two-stroke Suzuki GP with my dad. Like, I live next door to Guardia Seville, like no paperwork, nothing. Fucking built this bike, set off for Portugal with my dad. Like, I've lived this life as well, you know. It's
it's that risky side of it, isn't it?
Oh man, I fucking love it. Like, and that was the thing for me with Tatooine. Like, I wanted to be that guy, like that fucking, because like, no, fuck you. Like, I don't, you know, I'm not going to conform. Like, and then obviously all of a sudden everyone starts getting fucking fully blasted hands, and it's like, you know, and it's just like, it's great for the industry. It's great for people like you because obviously you're flat out doing them. But it's kind of like,
I was definitely getting my face and like neck and everything done around that time that, you know, all SoundCloud rappers were getting them and stuff, and I was like, oh fuck's sake, like the amount of times that like even on like dating apps and stuff, someone will be like, oh, like what do you do for work? And I'm like, oh, well, why do you travel so much? I'm like, oh, it's mainly like touring and stuff, and they're like, oh, you're like a rapper or something. I'm like, fuck's sake. I'm like, no, tattooing, like I need to just back. I need to do what you know, Carlos Collier, his Instagram's like Big C Reaper. He's got a show called Southwest Chopper Fest that's on in a couple of weeks. He released like a metal cover of Ice Ice Baby, and he's got like face tattoos and stuff. And I was like, I need to do something like that just to appease the people thinking that I'm a rapper.
Yeah, just do something like fuck it, even if it's just a fucking reel. I mean, like, just fucking there with. But yeah, so let's move on from tattooing. We know where that happened. Like, when did bikes become a thing?
I'd always had an interest in them. I just didn't have any understanding to him, you know what I mean? Like, I'd see like choppers in like, you know, Easy Rider, or, you know, I think the first time I'd seen a chopper like in a movie or something, because I'd not seen him in real life as a kid. The first one I'd seen was in, you know, remember Barnyard?
Yes.
The like the cartoon movie, and they've got like, you know, the cows and the pigs and all that, and like, and there's a scene in there.
Yeah, Barnyard with the fucking balls and that.
Yeah, and they've got a scene on there where they're all on choppers. And I'm just like, oh, is that like those really long bikes and stuff? Like, and then my mum was like a big Bon Jovi fan, and there was certain videos on there where they'd have like Harleys and stuff, but they weren't choppers and stuff. So I just didn't understand like how, you know, I was like, well, I don't see any bikes coming from Harley over the years that have, you know, that look long and like that. And that's when I was like, you know, when I was a young kid, like, and then the more I started to understand it, I was just like, oh, like it's all, you know, made. I was like, I don't have the time for that. I don't have the knowledge for that, whatever. And then the more I'd seen like on social media, the more I'd seen like on Instagram, the first person I spoke to about, well, I got a bike. I got a like Honda 125, like a bobber, and and I it was just like a Honda Rebel. I got that about 5 years ago or something now, and I was like, oh, I want it to be long and this, that, and other, but I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know anyone that did it, and the first person I ever spoke to about it was Glenn. You know, Glenn, who had the prawn, and I was in Sweden at the time, and I messaged him, and I was just like, I'm thinking about taking this bike here to have it made longer and stuff, and he was just like, right, forget everything that you've just said. He's like, get in touch with Lloyd, keep it country. Get in touch with, you know, him and Jay, so last week of July. I don't think they're far from you. He said they're in Bawtry, 2 miles away from my house. I'm like, no way.
That's supposed to be.
Yeah, and then he was like, what you want is you want to get a Sportster or something, and you know, like something reliable, just push the button, go, and tell Lloyd about what you're after and stuff, and he'll like, you know, find time to like fit you in to make it, like tell you how much it'll be, blah blah blah, and it sort of just got to that point, and I met Lloyd, and I went away then to Mexico, didn't sort of put anything in the works. I was just sort of like, oh well, if I'm going to be away and stuff, is it worth doing? And then I went away to Mexico, and this bike came up. I spoke to Lloyd about it, and it was that Shovelhead, that 77 shovel, and so told him that I was going to go ahead with that and stuff. Like, kept sending him photos of bikes that I liked.
You didn't go in to buy a Sportster. You went straight to a fucking shovel. Like, you were just like, no, I'm going to get this.
Well, that was around the time that Glenn did his podcast with Ollie.
Yeah.
And he said something in there because I actually never met Glenn. I just spoke to him on Instagram and stuff, and then obviously, unfortunately, he'd passed
Yeah.
by the time I came
Rest
back
in
from
peace.
Mexico.
Yeah.
And
So fucking sad. Rest in
it
peace,
is,
man. What a
it
fucking.
is.
I listened to that podcast. What a fucking cool dude. What a
Is
cool
one of my
dude.
biggest regrets is not coming back sooner and getting to actually meet him. It's one of those things where we go and camp out at some of his favorite
Yeah.
campsites and visit his grave and stuff. And sometimes I feel like a little bit out of place. I'm just like I spoke to him a bunch, but never actually got to meet the guy. I'm like, if I just, if I'd come back sooner, if I wasn't away for so long, would have got to actually know him better. Um, but yeah, he said something in that podcast with Ollie about people having this mentality of like gatekeeping bikes and stuff, and saying, like any bloke that turns around and he's just like, oh well, a sports as a girl's bike or something, like they could be quite easily shown up down the line because that person might go and buy like a panhead next or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they try and see it as this like, what bike have you got like that has some sort of value on like who you are and stuff. And I was just like, you know what, like people are immediately gonna, because I get like stupid comments and stuff on my page all the time, so I kind of like winding people up. So I was just like, this shovel head came up, and I was just like, right, I'll just go in with a shovel head straight away and see how many people I piss off. But
Yeah.
it wasn't really for that. It was just because it was a fucking cool bike, like. But
No, at the end of the day,
um,
there's also a lot of people. There's also a lot of people that couldn't afford it, and half these people are like fucking chatting shit because they actually want one and can't afford one. Because
yeah,
obviously, as you and everyone that knows, they're not fucking cheap,
well,
and they're not
absolutely, yeah.
easy to keep. They're not easy just to keep on the road.
Especially if you're not building them yourself, you know what I mean? Like, I'd never even attempt to build a bike myself because I wouldn't know first thing about it. It wouldn't be safe. Wouldn't be safe for me. Wouldn't be safe for whoever I crash into when wheel falls off. So, I've got this again, like Glenn said in that podcast. He said he would rather, line his mates' pockets who are talented enough to be able to do that stuff,
Yeah,
than attempt it himself. The exact same way. If I have any problems with my bike, I go straight to Lloyd about it, because I trust him with it. He's everything that he's done, tried and tested, and like why would I
yeah.
attempt something myself when it helps him out, and it's something that he's great at doing. So why wouldn't I?
And that's the thing. Like what I noticed. Like obviously, like we spoke before, went like one here. Like obviously, I got to hear about last week of July like ages ago, and then obviously started watching the YouTube videos, and then obviously them following them on social media. Which is, I'm sure I discovered them originally on YouTube. But like the more you follow, I mean, obviously I've not got to speak to Lloyd yet, but like when you follow the stories, like I messaged Lloyd, or I believe you might have commented on. I think you'd commented on one of the reels. I think from the podcast with me and Ollie, and like, I think I messaged you straight away, or a couple of days. Like you were straight back. Like everyone of that circle are like fucking humble people. It's not like, oh no, I'm building panheads and knuckles, and like I'm
Yeah,
too
it's
fucking good. I'm too good
mutual
to talk
interest,
to
isn't it?
you. You know, it's
At the end of the day, like it's all well and good seeing what do they call them, like the chopular crowd. People with like bikes that are too cool for school and stuff. It's like at the end of the day, like they might think that they're too cool for whoever, but it's such a small group of people. Like in reality, one of the best bike builders in the UK, in the grand scheme of things, is a nobody to really like, like the general public. So I don't get that logic of people being like, oh yeah, no, I'm this, I'm that. It's like, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
they're only really this like big person in this very small group of people. It makes no
yeah.
sense to be egotistical.
No, that's it. I mean, like, and obviously for the people that do follow Lloyd, like Keep It Country, like he has a fucking cool little fucking workshop built on the side of his house. I mean,
It's awesome, that thing, yeah.
I commented on one. I was like, how fucking like I think he'd taken the picture and he was right next to that radiator, and I was like, mate, that's so fucking cool. Like you'll
Yeah.
keep it warm.
He never used to have
And
them
he was like,
radiators in
sweet
there.
man.
Never used to have those radiators in there. It used to just be this like garage on the side of the house, and you have like the lecky heater that he'd put
Yeah,
on for like 5-10 minutes just to warm it up, but you'd see the meter on the wall just like spinning round, so it'd be like, right, get that on. And then now he's got like actual radiators and stuff in there, so it's just like it's like his living room now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and then obviously like posting pictures of like all you boys like sat there with beers, and it's like fucking hell. Do you know what? Like, and to do that with the bikes you're doing it with, like obviously they are like panheads, knuckles, shovels. They are respected across the world, and like to keep it so fucking humble as if it was just a group of like 17-year-olds on their 125s, like that come from like grew up together. And I think that to me is like what I fucking really admire. Like, it is so easy to fucking lose yourself in the Instagram world of fame.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
I think it's fucking cool as hell.
He'll tell you. It's like he actually he probably won't tell you because I think he hates talking about it. But he started with a Virago, like a Yamaha Virago that he sort of like customized and stuff.
Because he was on the podcast as well, wasn't he? On Ollie's, I'm sure. He talks about the Virago. Mate, I'd have a Virago. Like, I'm building a Chinese 125, mate. I fucking love it. I love it. Like, because I know that so many, mate. I originally, when I built my exhaust system, I didn't have much money, you know, as a lot of us are, which really is where the fucking scene started back in the day.
Well, exactly, yeah. I
built a whole exhaust. I built a whole exhaust out of a bed frame, like literally out of 40 mil fucking wafer thin pipe. It made more noise coming through the pipe where it's so thin, and the noise and the resonating through the pipe.
That's
cool, didn't sound nice, and I didn't give a fuck.
Cool story behind it. Yeah,
I didn't give a fuck. Like, it's fucking awesome. But so like today's up, when you uploaded the video today, like you were on this shovel, yeah?
No, I was on the Evo. The shovel at the moment is at Lloyd's. It was hardtailed, but we've taken the shovel out and put the shovel into a swing arm frame. So I'm having this sort of like swing arm shovel chop-ish kind of thing. It's like still like slammed at the back, and then got like 6 others in the front. So it's still like, you know, leant back a bit. But that motor I've had for 3 years or something. I've done ridiculous amount of miles on that, and it's you know, tried and true. So I'm like, we'll put that into a swing arm, and that'll be like my mile muncher. So
that's become a style now, isn't it? It's become a style, absolutely. Like short swing arms, like say slammed on the back, somewhat of an exaggerated stock look in it.
It's that Frisco sort of style, you know. A lot of them put like struts in the back so they don't hardtail it, and I do quite like the look of them. But obviously, I don't know. I think Lloyd's rubbed off on me a bit with I used to just like, I was like, oh, you don't care, it struts as long as it's got that long front and that sort of stance, like that's what I like. But now he's like, no, you got to do it proper, and that's rubbed off on me a bit now. So now I'm like, if I see a bike with struts, I'm just like, oh, it'd be cooler if it was hardtailed. Like,
do you know what? It's fucking crazy you say that, right? So I messaged Simon from Mint Customs. I was lucky to have Simon on the podcast, and he obviously he's down in Hertfordshire, and I messaged him because I know, because he comes from superbike background. I was like, look, I just want to make sure that when I chop I want to shorten the stroke on the front forks. I was like, if I do, you know, can I cut it and put a spacer in and all that? And he's like, yeah, well, long as they're equal length and you don't do too much and stuff like that, you'll be all right. And then I flip the camera around, like, I'm gonna do solid struts on the back. He's only 125, and he's like, mate, he said, don't even fucking, so don't you dare. He's like, you can't do that. And I'm like, no, I'm being realistically like wanting to use the bike for work. He's like, if you're gonna do it, he said, you've at least got a hardtail at the top, leave the swing arm in, you know, like leave the swing arm in, but do a hardtail from the curb down to the backbone, you know, at least do that. And I'm like,
yeah, it's one of those, if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well.
Yeah. But I'm like, mate, it's only a 125. It's only a Chinese 125. You know, I need it for work.
I get that from Lloyd a lot. When I'm just like, oh, like, I want to do this, I want to do that, and he's just like, right, you're not putting a shovel head swing arm in it. We'll get a panhead one, like, because it's rounder and it's cooler and it's worth doing right. And I'm just like, all right, go on then, like,
yeah.
And then eventually he's always right. So.
No, that's it, innit? That's it. So for me, it's like, it's all being well, I'm going to be able to like get the metal together. I ain't got a van, so I'll be like having to take the wheels out of the frame, shove the frame in back at Skoda, and then drive down to Hertfordshire and spend a day down there. He's going to help me bend all the tubes, you know, because again, I'm not, you know, I don't claim to be a fabricator. I mean, I built a whole subframe for my ZX10, but you know, I need like there's my limits to what I can do, and so And it's an experience, isn't it? It's fucking, like I say, it's a cool experience.
You're not
But
you're not too far away from Bridlington where you are you?
yeah, I'm only 25 minutes from Brid. Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Are you going to is it Race the Waves in a couple of
Race the
weeks?
Waves,
Yeah.
12th of April, 12th of May,
Yeah.
innit?
12th of May,
Yeah.
yeah. Not this Saturday, the Saturday after, or this
Yeah,
weekend.
I
Uh,
should be there, mate. Yeah. Oh, are you
yeah.
going?
We're going up. All the lads are going up on the Saturday, but I'll be at the early hookup. But then I'm going to drive overnight on the Saturday and be there all day Sunday.
Yes, I was hoping to get to early hookup as well, but for me, it's like fucking working days and night shifts, and like
Yeah.
after obviously you can't just chuck loads of money around, fucking
Yeah,
traveling all over. I'm like,
yeah. Well, I'm vending at the early hookup, so I'm hoping that anything I make there can justify being there and then going to the Brid on the
yeah,
Sunday. Yeah.
yeah. No,
But
that'd be cool.
taking the knuckle down to the early hookup.
Are you taking it on the beach? Sorry, you're not taking. Are you taking it to the beach as well?
No, well, I mean, it could be. I'm putting it in a van, taking it down to early hookup, and then I'll drive up to Bridlington overnight. I don't have to return the van until the Monday, so it could be there. But I'm not going to be riding it. Not going to be beach
You're not going to
racing
ride
it.
it on the beach. You're not going to take. You're not going to take the fucking knuckle down the beach.
Paul will be racing. He's got a shovel head that is sort of put together in this like beach racer style, like the wide bars and like the cafe racer style seat and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
So he'll be racing. That'll be worth watching.
That's cool as hell. Yeah. No, hopefully, like I say, I'm hoping kind of. So, like with what I'm doing, like here, obviously, like I set up my page just to kind of create a hub for people to like kind of like connect with me and like I can connect with people. And then the idea was that I was just going to start cutting my shit up on YouTube because again, like my videos aren't how to. My videos are like watch me fuck up and hopefully someone's going to help me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I said off air, like my tank for my 125 is currently off, being TIG welded together. And I said to the dude, I tacked it all together, and I'm like, look, what are you like filling holes? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, serious. Like, I fucking tacked it. I've fucking blown holes in.
I'd love to learn to weld, but I've not got the first clue.
Mate, neither. And do you know what? Right, that's literally what I felt was my offering to the table. Because I think when you step to the table within the tattoo scene, like within the custom culture scene, like
yeah,
I think at the end of the day, like if I message you saying, I've got a fucking, I can do this with podcasts and I can do this with tattooing and all that shit, like you just be like, who the fuck are you? Do you know what I mean? Like I think being honest and being realistic, like I mean, I didn't even message like, up until we started doing the podcast. I never said anything about me having an understanding of tattooing because I don't claim to be a pro artist and shit. Like I simply do not disrespect any part of the culture whatsoever. And
it's similar. Like I've always wanted to do something so that I've got something to provide to the chopper scene or community or whatever. And I don't know. I've dabbled with like painting and stuff like that, but there's just so many talented people at it that I'm just like I'm not gonna bother. But then
that's it, though, isn't it?
I take a lot of photos and stuff and try and put some videos together and stuff. But that's just stuff that I do out of fun. You know what I mean? I'd love to have something that I could do that's of value to that community.
I mean, you are though, aren't you? At the end of the day, whether it be, for example, that you're working fucking 100 hours a week or whatever, that's raising the money to have that bike built, whether it be you're building it or built it, even buying the parts and building it yourself. Like everyone knows, like, I mean, what's a knucklehead motor? What brand if you try and buy one now? I mean, around that region, and
for a motor, just the motor, not with the transmission or anything, but just the motor alone in the States will go for about 20 grand.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, if you're the dude that's worked your ass off to get that, to then put it in a bike that's then on the road, like you've earned the fucking right to say, do you know what, I'm part of this culture, and technically that even comes to the dude that's just had a fucking 200 grand Christmas bonus. Okay, it's a bit more like, all right, but at the end of the day, if he's still fucking willing to put the money into,
put it into something, he's put it into something that more people are going to see. It's keeping them alive. It's keeping them on the road, you know what I mean? I try and do like my excuse when I do this is like if I'm riding down the road and there's a bunch of kids on BMXs or something, and they're giving it that, they're just like, oh, it's like every time without fail, like every time I will
Yeah,
rev the
all the
knackers off
time,
my bike just to
all
make
the
sure that
time,
they're
mate.
just like that's cool, and then maybe they'll want one. You know what I mean? It keeps
Because
it alive.
do you know what? 100%. And at the end of the day, like everyone knows that, like, if you get addicted to bikes, realistically, the chances of you becoming addicted to a fucking substance that's gonna fuck you is a lot
Yeah,
less.
yeah, yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it
Well,
is a lot less.
that's why from the get go, I've been on bikes and stuff, been on crosses. I've done the entire length of Mexico on a crosser, but it just doesn't
Fuck,
compare
that's
to a
sick.
chopper. I mean, like it doesn't compare to like that feeling of being on like a bike that's like built from the ground up. Whether you've built it or your mates built it or something, it doesn't compare to that feeling, especially like riding in a group. You know what I mean? When I was
Yeah.
saying I was in Mexico and I was sort of like thinking like, oh, is it worth getting a bike if I'm barely going to be there and stuff? And
So
then
what are you
once
doing
I
in
bit the
Mexico? So what was you doing over in Mexico?
Initially, it was just mid-pandemic, one of the only places open, and I was like, I'm tired of being at home doing nothing, so I'm gonna go over there, live cheap for a bit, and then went to this one hostel. Was supposed to be there for like 5 days. Ended up staying for about 4 months, and
Wow.
um, and then was just like in love with it, like, and then one of the owners wanted to move away and sell his shares, and I was just like, I'm in, and opened up another one since then. Um, and then yeah, just basically trying to create like a bit of a party scene out there. That was my thing. Like I don't know if you've seen on my page, like all like the beer tornadoes and like doing
Yeah, man.
ridiculous amount of shots and stuff. I don't really drink that much anymore. I always get gypped from the lads whenever I'm doing zero alcohol beers, but. That was my thing. I loved like party hostels, places where you could go, and then as soon as you wake up at like midday, like you've been woken up to like water pistol full of tequila. It's like wake up, go to the bar, like
Fucking hell.
that sort of like constant spring break kind of place, and that's
Yeah,
what that's
man.
what we kind of made out of it.
And is it? I mean, I'm guessing that that's fucking doing well. Sure. I mean, I don't see. I don't drink, but I can imagine that that's fucking doing well.
Yeah, yeah. The one in Tulum, the initial one, is always packed, always full of like crazy party people. The new one is in Puerto Escondido, in the other coastline of Mexico. It's more of like a surfer town. It's more of a surf hostel. They have like parties and stuff, but it doesn't get as crazy as Tulum does. Tulum's
Yeah.
just like five naked people on the bar at the same time, like madness constantly.
Fucking awesome, mate. And that's like kind of like we spoke off there. Actually, you briefly mentioned that, but like I can imagine I can imagine it's probably so satisfying when people look at you like don't know your story, like don't have no fucking idea about you. They're probably gonna think, oh, look at this fucking tattoo
Yeah,
rag that probably achieved fuck all. And the truth is, like, if you probably open the fucking books, business books, and they're gonna look at yours and go, holy shit, like that really
that
doesn't represent who you look to be. And I
yeah,
fucking
that
love
is
that. I love that.
that is kind of one of my favorite things. Like with me, my mum and my grandma. People always ask me like, what does your mum think or what does your grandparents think and stuff like that. But at first they didn't want me to get my face tattooed or visible tattoos, obviously. But then since then, there's been times where when I first started getting my face tattooed, I'd go out for dinner with my mum or my grandma and then one of their friends who's known me since I was like 2 year old. And you'd see them sort of like not try and talk to me as much, or they'd try and like I don't know, not be as involved in the conversation that I was having, and it's just how they were raised. Like this, they thought that like tattoos are the sign of being in a gang or something like that, and so I would sort of just initiate a conversation so that they could hear me speak, like be polite, like be the same way that I've always been, and initially like you'd sort of like see them be a bit, well, how do I respond? But you'd see it in their eyes, like they'd just sort of change. They'd be like, oh, like same kid, just likes tattoos. And so my mum and my grandma see that as
Yeah.
a bit of like an ode to how they raised me, just to be polite and respectful and stuff. So that's one of my favorite things is
That's
changing
it.
perceptions without even having to talk about tattoos. There's been times that like
Yeah.
my grandma's noticed when like people that she's mates with have just been like, oh bloody hell, what you let him do that for and stuff. And instead of sort of getting like defensive or I've just been like, same as I've always been with them, and then they're just sort of like they feel like a bit of a dick.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's it. Because end of the day, looking the way you look, like at the end of the day, doesn't make you a fucking monster or a fucking uneducated moron. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, do you know
Well,
what I
that's the
mean?
funniest thing is I was my mum sent me to private school, so like it's really funny seeing people that I went to school with that going down the exact route that you'd expect them to go down, and then now like I don't know, I'll have conversations with people and they're just like, oh, like I didn't think you'd know much about this or whatever, and I'm just like, well, I hate to admit it, but I was privately educated, like so I
Yeah,
had to
like
pay attention in school, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah. That's it. It's like my old man. Like like my dad's like an old school biker, long hair. I mean, to be fair, he looks a bit like a fucking old clapped out fucking Hulk Hogan, but he's got
Yeah,
that right. He's got that cool look about him.
brother.
Do you know what I mean? He's got that fucking look about him, and yet like the dude can stand there and talk fucking like he can fucking proper hold his own, like educated
Yeah,
wise, and it's like I unfortunately didn't get the educated side. I dropped out of school and everything, but I just kind of fucking no. I just love the fact like at the end of the day, just because the way you look, like what I said earlier, like before I see we did the podcast, I started diving more into like what you've been. I try to get try to get a bit more of an idea of like what you've been doing on social media. And I'm like, fucking hell, like he's got fucking property, fucking like development
yeah,
pages, and I'm like, this is. I mean, and I'm like, this is fucking sick because it's like straight away, like even though we're about the same scene and culture, like obviously it's quite clear that your fucking artwork's on point. And at the end of the day, anyone knows that if you're a fucking half decent, respectable artist, like you can travel the world with that. So I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And
yeah.
then all of a sudden I'm like diving, I'm like, property development. I'm like, fucking hell, this dude's like, he ain't just spunking his money up the wall. Like, he's fucking clicked. Like, do you know what I mean? And obviously I already know roughly what panheads and knuckles and shovels and everything are fucking worth. I'm like, okay, like, yeah, like he's on, you
That's
know.
me thing at the moment. What I've started doing recently is have you seen that lad, that Joey Gavon or something, and he does like his outfit of the day in front of his Sportster, and it's like swing arm Sportster, longer forks, and people were giving him like a really hard time, being like, oh, like forget this is cringy and shit, and I see that and I'm like, I don't know the guy, but I'm just like, I hate seeing that because it's like he's just some lad that's interested in the culture, interested in bikes. He's bought a stock sporty and like made it into something that's unique to him, and then there's these the tough guys of the scene or whatever talking shit on it, and I'm just like, that's what I hate about people being like pushed out of it. So my thing at the moment is I'm doing the exact same thing, like posting like outfits in front of bike and stuff, and my
Yeah, so
caption for it every time
yeah.
is posting outfit of the day until I can afford a knucklehead. So then I'm hoping that like after it builds some traction, once the knucklehead's rebuilt, I'll do one in front of knucklehead and piss off all the people that think that I've like just made some money from doing these outfit of the days and bought a knucklehead with
Oh,
it.
I tell you what would be a sick idea though, right? What you fucking idea. But if you did a video like where like you walk into the shed, like into Lloyd's garage, sorry, and then fucking pretend to slip, like trip, and then the clothes drop next to the engine. You're like, you know what I mean? Like how fucking people be like, what? You know what I mean? Like
That'd be a good
if you
one.
do it,
Yeah, yeah,
I need to see that. 'Cause like do some like proper comical shit, like where you fucking
yeah,
trip
yeah.
over the fucking over the shovel, which half of the fuckers can't afford anyway either. And you're like, oh shit, sorry. Oh yeah, I just got to grab. You know what I mean? Something
Oh,
like a
just make
fucking
myself look like a knob.
yeah. Like as you're tripping over and all
Yeah.
you'd land all over your fucking knucklehead engine. You're like, oh shit, you know. It'd be fucking awesome, but no, mate, it's fucking. I just think it's fucking cool what you're doing. It's like that's what I'm trying to like. That's what I'm trying to do now. It's like I want to turn what I'm trying to do into a business. I don't want to monetize the podcast because I feel that the podcast will lose what it stands for. I think it needs to be this neutral, like genuine thing. So I believe that I'm learning, and like I lack knowledge in it in like technology, which is why I do these live. I literally because I'm not fucking good at editing and shit like that. Like I'll then I know that this already saves to the social media platforms anyway. Then I can create a reel off it, and
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not at all utilizing I think kind of what's holding me back in my progression is the fact that because I lack the understanding of how to optimize shit on social media. but I'm slowly starting to learn it, and like I want to create like a business around it, which I'm hoping is gonna get going properly, where I can then hopefully move. I want to move back to Spain. You know, I need to apply for digital nomads visa, which I have to try and hopefully get this sustaining itself. And kind of where I'm going with it, it's like I'm finding it really fucking hard, like because I really struggle, really fucking struggle with social media. I'm not. I don't know. You know what I mean? I know something's wrong. I'm not. Like I interact and like my page, it progresses, but it's like it's. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like I find it really fucking frustrating because I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Like I'm clearly doing something good enough to get the likes of you guys to give me your time. But then it's I don't know. I don't fucking know what it is like. But
I don't know. Like for me, it's I'm just down to talk about bikes and stuff like that. So it's just an opportunity to do that, isn't it? Really?
yeah. It's but no, but that's it. Like it's cool. So like it's just cool to be able to speak. And I think like what caught me off guard, like with interviewing you, was like I didn't expect to see like the fucking business side of it.
Oh
I
yeah,
was the tattoo.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's
Well, I mean, the only reason that I push that is so that I've got more time to ride bikes and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? A lot
yeah,
of the stuff
yeah.
that I try and do like work wise is like a passion project, but then like my main priority now is just riding bikes with mates, living a slow, simple life, having a few beers and doing all the fun stuff all the time.
That's it. And like, you know, that's kind of like what I'm trying to fucking learn now is like, all right, I've now got to build a online business that I can sustain, that is going to enable me to take my family back to Spain and give my kids like the life that I was lucky enough to grow up as a child, you know.
That year-round summer.
Oh mate, fucking hell, yeah. Especially like Costa del Sol, you know what I mean? Like 320 days a year of sunshine, and it's just like,
yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, you know, winter time, you've got riding weather still. It's perfect.
Fucking hell, mate. Yeah. I mean, obviously, us being up this neck of the woods, like I said to my missus the other morning, it was like 7:30 in the morning. I was like, right, so you enjoy this sun. I said, because by 11 it'll be grey. Bang, mate. It was fucking like grey by 11. It was cold. It fucking started to spit. I was like, what the fuck? Like,
it was like that today, yeah. It was dead sunny, dead warm, and then it's like, no, here comes the rain.
Yeah, and then obviously being on a fucking chop with no front, my God, open face crash helmet, and you're like,
yeah.
Little fuck.
Yeah, I like seeing the get some cling film wrapped around fork legs as a mudguard. It stops it spraying up on you. They're fun ones.
Oh fucking hell, yeah. But mate, it's been a fucking. I know we said we'll do about 45 minutes or so. It's been, and it's late now. It's fucking half 11.
Right.
It has been
worries.
a fucking honor to listen
it's been really
to you.
Good talking to you.
Hopefully, I'll catch it. No, mate. Honestly, thank you very much for. And I'd say it's so fucking great to like. Hopefully, someone that catches this that is in the tattoo scene, motorbike scene, like that, you know, that takes inspiration from the fact that you can fucking live a fucking crazy life and still take a bit out and go, right, I need to look for the future.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, like I find not only is it cool to hear your story, but for me, because I relate to that right now in my life, like I feel that now I'm trying to kind of be the sensible, learn how to conduct myself in a somewhat of a business manner. I find that, I know it sounds crazy out of everything, like, but I've really taken that from this chat, if that makes any sense. I don't know why, but do you know what I mean? Like, I find it really inspiring. I find it really fucking inspiring that you're able to put a business head on, as well as be a cool fucker that's riding around on fucking bikes that half of us are never going to get the fucking ride.
That's cool. I appreciate it.
So people that want to find you on social media, want to book a tattoo with you, where do they find you?
My main Instagram account is Ugly North. I have a tattoo page as well that I kind of just use as a portfolio. But yeah, you could message me on Ugly North or Concrete Cowboy Tattoos. book tattoos through there. I also have on my tattoo page, there's a link on there to a booking site, so you can see all the available locations, because obviously I'm traveling full time, so spend a lot of time in Canada and around Europe and stuff. Not so much the USA anymore because nightmare with visas, but if you have a look on there, you can find the days and locations and stuff if you want to book a little tattoo.
Yeah, he's not flexing on where he's traveling. I mean, the fucking one of the first pictures is the fucking calendar of the fucking world. He's like, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, jammy bastard, jammy bastard, jammy bastard, jammy bastard.
I thought that was such a good idea. The tour poster, like I'm like a band or something.
It's sick, mate. It's like fucking. It just screams rock star. It really
just
fucking
putting as
does.
much information out as possible. Like,
yeah, over in Seville, mate. Have you been? Before I let you go, have you been to Seville?
Yeah. I watched one
Beautiful,
of the bullfights there and all.
Beautiful, mate. Yeah.
Got to see the what do they call it? The perfect kill.
Okay. Yeah.
You got to see what?
Muertos. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, Muertos Perfectos or something.
Yeah. Last time I was in Seville, I kept fucking. We went to Isla Mágica, you know, the theme park on the outskirts of Seville.
Sí, claro.
Where I had the whole fucking. There was 4 classes, so there was about. It was 2. There was a massive coach. I think it was 2 coaches. I kept all of the fucking school waiting because I'd refused to go back to the fucking bus at the time they wanted us there. It's like fucking 5 teachers trying to look for me and my mate, and I was just like, yeah, fuck it off. You know what I mean? But yeah, so obviously, again, I'm not going to fucking waffle on it anymore now. So if they want to fucking check out your portfolio, it's Concrete Cowboys. Like,
Concrete Cowboy tattoos,
Concrete Cowboys tattoos, like, have to check out his work, man. The fucking work's cool as fuck. And then obviously he's there posing next to his fucking shovel, next to a fucking river or something. Like, yeah, I'm traveling the world. Like,
I wish I could take the shovel everywhere. I wish I could get it on planes, but
like fold it up like one of them portable push bikes.
Yeah. Well, if I took it apart to fit it on a plane, I wouldn't know how to put it back together again. So
Lloyd.
Yeah, exactly. Bring it with me.
What the fuck, man? Anyway, I'm gonna let you get off, mate.
No worries,
I appreciate your time. Thank you. And hopefully I'll catch you either at Wheels and Waves.
Race the Waves.
Bridlington.
Yeah, Bridlington.
I want to try and get Race the Waves. And I do get down to the early hookup, but I'll have to see what the old bank account says and what the wife says. But
no worries. Well, I'll see you at one of them. Catch you in a bit.
Awesome, dude. Thank you. I'll catch you later, mate.